Hi, this is Joe Rabel. Wanted to come back and actually do most of the videos that I do when I'm looking at two different time frames are focused on the higher time frame being in trend, and then the lower time frame trying to play some sort of a reversal in the direction of that trend. But I have done some video. I did a video on market conditions where I talked about the fact that there are times when the market isn't trending, where the market breaks its uptrend, or in the conditions that we have right now where you get a really violent breakdown, and stocks are probably more in terms that they're not. I mean, we could be trending to the downside, but I think based on how violent the decline was, we're probably going to go through some type of a period where we consolidate or back and fill or work sideways. So I just thought it was interesting to or worthwhile, I should say, to explain how I would trade in an environment where maybe there isn't a trend, or if you follow a specific instrument that isn't trending right now and you want to be able to apply two timeframes to it. I figured I'd show, because I talk about the using the ability to be able to trade off support and resistance, but I never have given in a video on this as an example. So I'm going to go into that now. I'm going to spend a few minutes going through that. Before I do, let's make sure we hit the subscribe button and build up the subscriber base on this channel. And then let's go and look at the PepsiCo chart. On the left side, I've got the weekly, and on the right side, I've got a daily chart. I've already circled the area in question, and you're looking on a weekly chart. Let's start with the weekly. Always start with a higher time frame trend, no matter whether we are focused on. Hold just a second. I want to get rid of something. Okay. Whether we're focused on a trending move or looking at support and resistance, you always want to start with the higher time frame, because the lower time frame is going to trade inside the zones of support and resistance on the higher time frame. So if I'm looking at a daily chart and I want to look for how much room do I have, I want to go to the weekly chart and define where support and resistance is. So I've got these boxes already, set up. We can see this box here is the resistance zone for PepsiCo. This dates back to, in the 2018 to early 2019 area. And we can see where price was turned down once here. And then again, we turned down at this level, and then we turned down again at this level. And I want to make a real important point about support and resistance. It's not an exact area. It's a general area. And so I usually will draw boxes in, like I've done here, to show where the zone of support and resistance is. And I think if you have the general area, it's not going to be a horizontal line. I mean, every now and again, it might be a horizontal line, but even those are going to get overrun, or you might miss it by a little bit. They're not going to be an exact level. So you want to be aware of the fact that it is a zone of support and resistance. I've done the same thing on the downside and sort of pointed out, the spots where, price turned. It overran here, but look at again on this move here, you have another turn. And then on this move here, you have another turn. And if we go back a little bit more in time, this was a point where you actually were providing resistance a few times. So I think this becomes fairly important. The fact that you were resistance and now you're providing support number of times. Again, this is another zone. These are areas where I'd be looking and saying, you know what, if I can find a trade setup on the lower time frame that allows me to make money inside the zone, and we'll call the zone, say, 110 to 120. So it's about a 10-point move. So I've got to be able to risk a small enough amount to be able to trade down into support or buy from support up into resistance and be able to make, at a minimum, I want to make 2 to 1. I prefer to have a 3 to 1 target area. So let's go down to the daily chart, and I want to point out this circled area that I've created on the weekly. I know that I've got resistance. I've rallied up. I've got, a problem developing, not a problem, but I do have an area where I would say, you know what, there could be the potential to make money working our way down from 120 down to say 110 on a conservatively basis. So let me just show what happened here. If you take a trend line, and actually, let's start from the beginning. I want to actually show you something I think that's very important. So I'm going to scroll back because the process of shifting a trend, it is a process. It's not a single point in time. It takes, you work your way through. And right now, everything is still okay. The MACD is making new highs with price. We got a kind of a big reversal here into resistance. So that's the first sort of sign that maybe something's going wrong here. Now, as price moves down, MACD is crossing down below its signal line, but we don't really have anything of significance yet. Now we move back up and we actually make another new high, and what looks to be a very strong move in price. But notice we're hitting into the upper end of resistance on the weekly, and the MACD is not confirming the new high yet. So, all of a sudden I've got a little bit of an alert in my mind saying, you know what? Okay, I'm in resistance. MACD isn't confirming. I don't short just because MACD is not confirming. I need more evidence than that. But as we move on now, notice what happens. You had a big, strong up bar, and then all of a sudden you gap down from there. So that's a pretty big negative. And I noticed that the MACD is still not confirming the new high. So that's the first sort of piece of evidence. Now, in the meantime, I'm drawing in my trend line, and I'm going to have this trend line in place prior to this pulling back. And then we get the gap down and we break down through the trend line. So that's the first sign. And what I wanted to point out here is that typically when you break a trend line after the MACD divergence, that's to me, that's a more important sign that the trend could be changing, because we already have signs that the momentum is shifting. And now we get the first sign of a change in trend, number one. So let's follow through with this a little bit. Now we've come down to the 40, and now we get our rally up. It's a little bit jagged, some gaps in there and everything. We're still moving higher. We haven't had any kind of a smooth rally up, but we are forming the number 2 in a change of trend. And if you notice, the MACD is not crossing back above its signal line. So in this instance, let me zero in on this a little bit. We've taken a break of the trend line. We've rallied up to 2, okay? And I did have a pinch here. The only thing that was missing is I didn't have 2 higher lows in place. So in this case, it would have been a tough call. I probably would have had to go down to an hourly chart in this instance to see if I could find a reversal of the trend, and see if I can get the risk reward that I'm looking for. One of the things, and the main reason for this video is what I wanted to point out is I'm looking at this and saying, you know what, I've got a change in trend developing. And as I've mentioned other times, if I can get the 1 and the 2 in place, and that right up into this 118, 120, which is the lower end of resistance, if I know I have this potential change in trend developing, I can go down to a lower time frame. And in this case, if it were a pinch play, I could have actually gotten in, off the break of this low of this bar. But in this case, we didn't really have that. But what I want to make sure you understand is we're looking for zones. We're looking for areas, and we're trying to figure out where the high probability areas are where we can get a trade on and see if we can't put it down into support. So in this instance, you had a stock that was trading sideways on the weekly chart. It gave you some signs that the trend was starting to reverse on the lower time frame. And again, in some cases, you might have to go down to a third time frame to really get your trigger and your entry point. I'm not going to go down to the hourly, but as I've done in many videos, you know how to do that. The whole idea here is to make sure you understand where, how to trade in a sideways environment, essentially. Instead of looking for an uptrending move or a downtrending move based on the moving averages, we're actually looking at support and resistance and trying to find these same types of patterns. One of the things that I mentioned in my book is the 40 to 18 bounce. And if you notice, when this came down to the 40 and then bounced up to the 18. That qualifies as a 40 to 18 bounce. Now, it coincided with the 1, 2, 3 change in trend, which makes it even that much more important. So anyway, hit the like button here if you want to see more content like this. I hope this was helpful in helping you determine, how to look for stocks that are more in a range-bound environment rather than a trending environment. And we'll talk to you soon.